Can you stop him?
We could use more people like you. Can't make any promises.
Congratulations on Daredevil Born Again Season 2. I know all of us are so excited. I got a chance to watch the entire season, so I am just really stoked for everyone to see what's really happening. Just a little warm-up. I'm wondering, does playing Bullseye ruin casual darts, bowling, or literally any normal game for everyone around you?
I mean, it would if I was Bullseye. As it happens, I have pretty terrible aim in my real life. So nobody is afraid. None of my friends are afraid of my skills at the dartboard. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But it's a shame. And honestly, I've thought about it because I'm like, well, yeah, but now if like I did just want to have a casual dart game, people would be like, yo, you suck, dude. Like,
Right.
I thought you were good at this. And
Yeah.
it's going to be a big disappointment.
Yeah, they probably think you're going through all the training of like bullseye targets and things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let it be known right here and now that that is not the case.
So, coming off of episode 4, that attack on Vanessa takes a different meaning once we learn that she, from the first season, we learned that she's behind Foggy's murder. Did you approach Bullseye injuring her as a retaliation, or is he too detached for that to really register personally?
I mean, look, at this point, the relationship with the Fisks, plural, is extremely complicated for old Poindexter. Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a lot of reasons to hate them individually and collectively. And so I try, at this point, one of the amazing things about getting to have done this character now going into my fourth season with him, is that there's just so much amazing backstory I get to play with, in terms of motivation for every scene. And obviously the writers throughout these seasons have never shied away from giving Bullseye a really rich backstory. So I bring that into every scene we do, and of course going into that scene at the boxing match. I mean, it was heavy in so many ways. But yeah, I think there was a lot of sense of the history of these characters at play for sure.
Yeah. And this season, I do feel he is like less chaotic and more precise and also more colder. Was that a conscious shift to make him feel a little bit more like a controlled weapon? Because like you said, there's a lot to dig into with his character coming into now your fourth season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the things that I think is really special and fun and funny and just wild about this season is this is a very different Bullseye, I think, than we've ever seen before, very different Dex than we've seen before, because he has like a bit of like a lightness about him, because he feels like he's on this like righteous mission to redeem himself. Like he has a really clear idea in his mind, that he is balancing the scales. And so that gives him an almost yeah, like this lightness, almost like a joy to him. So when you get to see him in a scene like that diner scene, to me, that's like Bullseye just living his best life. You know what I mean? Which also, fortunately, is, I think, really fun to watch when you have like an insanely psychotic guy who can throw anything and kill you with it, and he's also feeling really happy and joyful and just kind of wants to dance. That's the scene you get.
Yeah. And I will say that episode, that scene you come in, it's so great. Like, it feels so iconic. Like, we're going to look back at this as one of the most iconic scenes from the franchise. I'm wondering, how long did it take to build that whole sequence, like that whole scene? Because I'm sure I've seen like behind the scenes, you guys take like a whole day sometimes for one couple of scenes,
So, I mean, for starters, weeks go into the preparation, right? From the earliest sort of conversations around, conceptually what a scene is, in terms of the action and stuff, to Phil Silvera and his team working out the initial beats. Then they bring me in so we can have a conversation about sort of deepening it and what beats are missing. Then they go back to to their drawing board, add pieces, present that to the producers. It's a long process, right?
Yeah.
And then they shoot, what they call a previs, basically like a pre-visualization of the entire scene, which is essentially like shot on iPhone, but it gives you a really good sense of like what these action scenes look like.
Wow.
Now, all that said, they still have to shoot the scene. And if we were doing this scene, that diner scene in, the Marvel Cinematic Universe or just about anywhere else, that could take up to like 2 weeks of shooting to do a scene that complicated with that many shots. I think there were 80 separate shots in that scene, and we did it in a day, which is like, if you're a film head and you watch a scene like that, to know that that was done in a day, I really genuinely think is one of the greatest film feats I've ever, is certainly one of the greatest film feats I've ever been part of, but I do think it's just extraordinary. So yeah, that was one day of shooting, a very exhausting, very fun day.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah.
Yeah, it's an incredible sequence. I think my sister and I were at the edge of our seats watching that because it's just so much like fun. And like we know, Poindexter, like Bullseye's not, a good guy, like he's sort of a villain. But in that sense, like you do root for him because you want,
Yeah,
yeah, you really do.
yeah,
He sets up the situation by blaming the Punisher, and then he wipes the threats out, and calmly he says he's one of the good guys, which
yeah.
is so interesting. Did you approach that as him constructing a scenario where he gets to define himself as the hero?
I mean, I think that's very much the case. Like I said before, like I think he really feels like he is doing God's work right now.
Yeah.
And so that gives him a sense of purpose, and it sort of imbues him with this kind of righteousness, which I think is, yeah, again, just amazing coming from somebody who is, obviously like a extensive mass murderer.
Yeah, yeah. There is that real Punisher versus Bullseye energy in that scene because I feel like people kind of expect, maybe Punisher to come by. And you guys do have a rivalry in the comics, and we've heard so much about it. So, were you thinking about that dynamic at all, especially knowing fans would want to see more of that with the two of them?
It would be a dream for me to get to shoot a Punisher Bullseye sequence, and hopefully we do get to do that someday. I think that would be fucking bananas. I think it'd be so
Mhm.
much fun. Obviously, I knew that that wasn't in the cards for this season, but my fingers are extremely crossed for that in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a scene in episode 4 when he tells Matt, he wants to do one good thing, and it
Mhm.
sounds so sincere. Do you think Bullseye actually believes that, or is it just something that he's justifying himself? Because
No,
everything he's
no,
done.
he 100% believes that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
one of the beautiful things about this character, the Dex character, is that there's an element of him that is really like a wounded child, there's a part of him that hasn't sort of matured past that stage of him being this like wounded little kid. And that mentality, that's like super simplistic mentality that he brings, like, oh, if I just, it's like a 6-year-old. Oh, if I just paint mommy a nice picture, it'll change the fact, that I smeared my shit all over the wall or whatever I just did,
Yeah.
like it's like it doesn't work like that. But in Dex's mind, it really does. So no, that's like 100% where his head is at. There's nothing disingenuous about that.
hmm The scenes you have with Charlie this season are amazing, and I love seeing that because you both have great chemistry. You also have this push and pull, which is incredible. What was something that you really loved having to work with him this season that you kind of didn't get to do before?
I, I always love working with Charlie, and I mean, look, anytime we're on screen together, I think it does. There is some like sort of extra special something. I really did like the scenes in the church in episode 5 where we're in the church and those things where we get to have um, these really thoughtful conversations in a weird way, and certainly in a very heightened context. I thought was really cool. I mean, in general, I think that episode is a beautiful episode and really like complex one. But I think like the getting the Bullseye, Daredevil morality, like two sides of the morality coin, and then talking about in very frank terms about it, I think is really special. So I love getting to do those scenes. Yeah.
So your EP, Sama, she actually mentioned to us how much thought went into Bullseye's movement this season.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, how did you approach his physicality, making him feel like so distinct from Daredevil and Punisher? Because there is a different method of fighting for each of them too.
I mean, it's something that I love about working on this show and specifically with this character is um, how much physical acting there is with this character. Obviously, part of that is like action sequences, which of course are bananas and super fun.
Hmm.
Um, but there's also a way that this character, his physicality evolved from when we first met him in the Netflix series to now, that is truly one of the most fun parts of this character that I get to play. And there's this, I mean, I think the way that I sort of think about it in my head is that this guy really feels to me like an apex predator in a way. Like his skill set is so lethal,
Mhm.
and he knows it, that he can sort of like walk through the world like he's the lion and it's his savannah, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I definitely try to embody. He just knows that like these people are beneath him, you know, in a way. And it just gives him a swag. It gives him, yeah, I think this really fun, menacing aura that I think hopefully plays really well on screen. It's certainly something I love to play with as an actor. I think it's really fun.
Yeah. So, going into, I guess from episodes 1 to 4, what can you tease fans with the rest of the season?
Look, I mean, I think episode 4 is like really the turning point of the whole season in a major way. I love that Bullseye sort of gets to be the linchpin of that whole transformation, honestly, that the season takes.
Mhm.
Um, I love the first half of the season. Honestly, like some people are like, oh, it's like a little like slow burny for me. I'm like, dude, I love a slow burn.
Mhm.
But I also appreciate that from episode 4 on, boy, does it cook, man. I mean, it's really like I feel like the whole season is just firing on all cylinders, and I think that's what you got to look forward to. You just like it basically from episode 4 on, you're sort of in its clutches, and it doesn't really let you go.